how quickly Chris has become good at those tip outs and things you're asking him to do. Does that say something about how coachable he is?
Well, all our guys are coachable. We wouldn't recruit them if they weren't. So don't give him credit for that. I mean, we've never had a kid that wasn't coachable. Um, but Chris is a pleaser. Um, you know, I mean, our guys aren't robots. I mean, they'll all challenge you in certain ways, and there's some kids a little more challenging to coach than others because of how well they understand the game. But uh, Chris has gotten tougher. I thought the thing that hurt him when he got here, he wasn't very competitive. Um, he didn't understand the difference between playing hard and competing. And he's a long way from a finished version of where he's going to be. Um, and how depending on how long you have him, depends on how much progress he'll make toward that, because he still has a long way to go.
Thank you, Chris. We'll go to Greg Bailey with KTRK TV. Greg, please go ahead.
Kelvin, good morning. I just wanted to follow up on something that I made a note of, and I thought I understood you saying that four position is particularly demanding with the things that you ask. Is that accurate?
Well, I think the forward position is the most ill-defined position in basketball. Most fives are fives. Um, Point guards are point guards. Twos and threes can be interchangeable, but the four is kind of different. For most teams, it's an undersized five or um, or a bigger guard. Um, I thought when we played Duke, I thought their team was really well put together. I didn't think they had a point guard, but they had a four man that was the best player in the country, and I thought that was an advantage for them. Fortunately for us, we had a four that could match him offensively, but could in every other area. Um, uh, we played Tech the way they play Williams and Watts last couple of years. They know how to play their four man. Um, Bill in the past has had some great fours, and sometimes he's had to play a five. Michigan, look at them. You could argue that they start three fives. Um, Yaxel was a five in junior college in Arizona. He was a five at UAB, and now he's a three, and the other two big kids are fives. So it just depends on how you want your team to look and how the coach defines how he's going to play. But Chris has never played the four before. He's never had to guard out on the court, and that really showed in June, July, and August, and it showed earlier in the year. Um, but Chris really pays attention to scout reports. We have to spend a lot of time with him because a lot of times we have to cover for him. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. But because his attitude and his character, those kids tend to be very humble. Um, they realize what they can and can't do based on you pointing it out to them, and then um, they work hard to do it the right way. So I've been really pleased with Chris with that.
Thank you, Greg. We'll go to Kenneth Bowman from Coop TV. Kenneth, please go ahead.
Coach, is there any update to Isaiah Hallwell?
I haven't checked today.
We will one second, please. We will go to let me see who's in Joseph. Hang on. We'll go to John Fanta. Sorry, John. We'll go to John Fanta from NBC Sports. John, please go ahead.
Hey, Kelvin. Looking forward to seeing you this weekend.
Hey, John.
In terms of this league, the league that you're in is just so incredibly tough, and something that you've often talked about and we've talked about before. What do you think was the biggest thing that you took away from your team's performance the other night? Now, just having a little bit of time to reflect on it, and what you learned from that win and kind of that heavyweight fight of the game.
Yeah, well, coaches define how they teams play in a very factual, realistic who we are. Other people evaluate you play based on what they've heard or read or where you're ranked, and they think you should be better. We are what we are. We're not any better than that. We're not nearly as good as other people think we are, and we're probably not as bad as other people think we are either. You are what you are. The reason we struggled the first half against Cincinnati is because Cincinnati's defense. They're the number 6 defensive team in the country. Think how many teams play against us and struggle. That's not their offense, that's our defense. We play teams that average 90 some points that come here and struggle, and people act like it does. I mean, but when your team struggle against another top defense, what's wrong with your offense? So I think what people saw the other night was what happens when two really good defensive teams play each other. Offenses are not going to look good. But we're not here trying to win a beauty contest. We're trying to impress people with our offense. What we've always been really good at here, John, is winning. And a lot of people have a hard time defining what winning looks like. Let me tell you what winning is. When this game is over and you have more points than them, you won. That's important.
Thank you, John. We'll go back to Chris Baldwin, please. Chris, go ahead.
Hey, Kelvin, what have you seen from Cameron Carr and how he's turned into a consistent scorer for Baylor?
Talent, you know, he's showing up on a lot of draft boards. Um, he's long, he's rangy. Um, he's a guard that can score and shoot. Um, Emanuel, early in his career here was strictly a shooter, but he's gotten better at scoring the ball. LJ was a really good scorer and a good shooter, Marcus. Um, and this Carr kid is too. He can shoot the ball, but he can really score too. So um, that was a really good get for. I think he transferred from Tennessee, but he's a very talented young man.
Thank you. We'll go to Terrence Harris with the Houston Defender. Terrence, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Hey Terrence, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Hey, how can you talk a little bit about Emmanuel and what you're seeing from him and how he's impressed you as he's grown over the years?
Yeah, Emmanuel. Um, First of all, and I probably don't say this enough. Our kids come from great family structures. He has got an awesome mother and father. Um, and the thing I love about all of our parents is I don't ever hear from them. I don't talk to them. Of course, I talk to them about that in the process, but um, I don't think I've talked to a parent 5 years or more. I just don't deal with that. Um, they Now they all have tremendous influence on their children because this is their child. Um, but I've always tried to coach these kids, these young men that I have, the way I would want somebody to coach my kid. Um, Teach him, um, what the standards are, and then hold them accountable to those. And parents understand that when they send their kids here. But the reason I mention that is Emmanuel's parents were professional basketball players,
Right.
both of them. So he came in here with a huge advantage, and they did a great job with him. Um, and I think that helped his transition. His first year, he had that really traumatic surgeries, multiple surgeries on his leg, and um, he enrolled in at semester, and then so he could get treatment and start his rehab with John and Alan. Um, But he came in here and got better, bided his time. Was the sixth man his freshman year, and then his second year, he came in here with Damian Dotson. Um, he wound up starting, and then last year he got better, and then this year he's most of the kids that stay here, and all our kids usually do, is they get better in multiple areas. It's not just about shooting; it's about defense. Emmanuel wasn't a very good defender when he got here. Of course, none of them are. They didn't come. They don't. None of them come with defense reputations. I don't think I've ever recruited a great defender. I've recruited guys that maybe weren't great scorers, but they had good size, good wingspan, activity, basketball IQ. Your undersized post guys have to be really good at that stuff. Um, Stuff that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. They got to be great in all the areas that doesn't require talent. They got to be great at that stuff. That's always been part of our recipe. But Emmanuel's a byproduct of being a great young man, a great teammate, easy to coach, hard worker, tough kid that cares more about winning than he does individual stats.
Got you. Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Terrence. We'll go back to Greg Bailey, please. Greg, please go ahead.
Coach, just wondering how far back your relationship with Coach Drew goes, and just what you think of what he's done with that program over a long period of time.
Of course, it would make sense for me to remind you that I knew his father before I knew Scott, which um, tells you a little bit about my age. But his dad was a great, great college coach at Valparaiso, Homer Drew. Of course, everybody remembers the NCAA tournament game where Homer drew up the great full court play to win on um, his son's 3-point shot. But my Scott's first 3 years at Baylor were my last 3 years at Oklahoma. So the end of I was at Oklahoma 12 years, so 10, 11, and 12 was against Scott. And we knew each other before that, but we got to be friends, and we just stayed in touch. We text each other a lot. He likes to leave me a lot of what do you call them? Those voice text, audio text. I don't know how to do that. I guess I should ask. But he's really good at it. He'll leave me a bunch of audio text, but ton of respect for Scott. There's a lot of coaches that are great coaches, and then there's a lot of coaches that are great coaches that are great for our profession. And Scott belongs to the latter.
Thank you, Greg. We'll go back to Chris Baldwin, please. Chris, please go ahead.
Kelvin, Jojo's shooting, I think, like 67% from the field in the last 4 games. Have you seen him getting more comfortable down there in the post? And you know,
Yeah, yeah, it's being able to practice. Of course, I live it and watch him every day, but sometimes people forget. Joe didn't touch a basketball from Monday night, April 7th, until end of September. He didn't touch the ball, didn't touch it. He's on a scooter. He's had surgery. He's on a scooter for like 8 weeks. Um, and he didn't return to practice until October. So, of course, he's not going to have his usual touch or feel for scoring over the top of somebody. And like Joe had a hard time scoring over his left shoulder against Toppin because Toppin's a natural left-handed shot blocker. So late in the game, I don't know if you guys noticed it, we drew up in misdirection, played to throw the ball to Jojo so he could get to his right shoulder so he could get it off with his left hand. But I give a lot of credit for that to Kellen because he does an awesome job working with all our posts on their left and right hand. That's one of the things that really helped J1 and JVR, Jojo. Chris is getting better at it. He's not near as good as those other guys because he hasn't been here long enough. But um, being able to score over both shoulders really helps undersized fives.
Thank you, Chris. We'll go back. We'll go to Manav Gupta from College Basketball Review. Manav, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Kingston had a block in the game against Texas Tech. How would you, I guess, you assess his defensive growth and maybe in terms of blocking shots as well?
But don't ever confuse blocking shots with being a good defensive player. Has nothing to do with it. That's just a lot of guys are terrible defenders. Their man beats them, and they turn around and go block the shot. That doesn't mean they're great defenders. Nobody was better at that than Jarris. If you look at the Auburn game where we beat them to go to Sweet 16, I think he got beat off the dribble 4 straight times. Then he turned around and go block the shot. So he went from being a bad defender to a great shot blocker, and they're two different animals. Um, if you remember the Auburn game, same team, same building, actually. They had the ball at the end of the game to win it, and Kingston, I think it was Pettiford, he jumped and blocked the shot. But Kingston's 6'4". He's not 6 foot. Jamal was 6 foot. Kingston's 6'4". And Kingston is really, really athletic. And uh, he's a quick thinker. But he's got miles and miles to go before we're going to start confusing him with a good defender now.
Thank you, Manav. We'll go back to Terrence Harris, please. Terrence, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, I got a question that's a little bit off the beaten path, a little bit, but I wanted to ask you, what does Dr. Martin Luther King mean to you? We're doing a MLK series next week, and I just wanted to talk to some of the coaches and athletes about Martin Luther King and kind of what he's meant to them.
So spring of 1968, I didn't get my driver's license, I don't think, until I was a senior in high school, but I had a bicycle that I would ride everywhere. I remember coming home on my bicycle, and Martin Luther King had just been assassinated. I remember crying because my family was crying 2 times in my life over something like that. One was November 22nd, 1963. I was in the 3rd grade when President John Fitzgerald Kennedy was assassinated. Then the second time was when Martin Luther King was assassinated. Um, the impact that he had with his courage um, in the face of you know if you're a historian or follow um, uh, the racist path that segregation caused, most people will remember Rosa Parks, um, Montgomery, Alabama, Ebenezer Baptist Church. Those are all things that stand out to me because of segregation. I grew up in a segregated society. My dad coached in segregation up until in the 1960s, late 60s, 1968, 7 or 8, I believe. I remember when Charlie Scott was the first African American player at University of North Carolina. But the only reason I mention any of those things is because everything always comes back to Martin Luther King. Um, his speech at Washington D.C., where he talks about the mountaintop. And one of my heroes, one of the guys I looked up to, was George Raveling, who was the head coach at Washington State University, 2 coaches before me. When I got the job at Washington State, probably the next day, I called up George and asked him, could I come down and visit with him and talk about it? And while we were there, he told me about having Martin Luther King's speech. He was an usher and worked security at a speech he gave in Philadelphia. And he left a copy of the speech, on his lectern podium.
Mm-hmm.
And George got it, and they let him keep it. And so now since George just passed, I think he's passed that on to, I don't know if this is Smithsonian or he passed it on somewhere so people could see it and enjoy it. But he always had it So Martin Luther King has been a hero of mine. I've read his speeches, I've read his words, I've written things down to use with my team. Um, um, he talks about uh, times of convenience and times that needs courage, and those things relate to life, but also relates to everything we do in life in society is having the courage to stand up for what's right when it's not convenient. So uh, Martin Luther King was his legacy will live for others and other people, and I think that's what makes him a giant.
Thank you for that, Coach.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Terrence. We'll go to Joseph Duarte from the Houston Chronicle. Joseph, please go ahead.
Hey, good morning, Kelvin.
Morning, Joseph.
Kelvin, if I could go back to JoJo for a minute, you've always talked about the importance of having him on the floor and keeping him on the floor. How have you seen that progress this season in terms of him knowing, when to be aggressive or, the foul situations and sort of keeping him on the floor?
Um, you know, we have some really good veteran referees in college basketball. Um, I think the hardest games to referee are games like the other night with Houston and Texas Tech. Both teams are very disciplined. They play hard. They compete. They're physical. And that's not a game for a weak referee. That's a game for a strong referee. Um, um, a young referee that uh, doesn't uh, understand advantage, disadvantage, and touches. Some guys, Joe will have his hands on somebody. It's insignificant. It doesn't impact the play. There's no advantage for anybody, no disadvantage for anybody. Some of those young ones think, well, I got to call that. Next thing you know, they blow it. It's not a foul, but they call it. The other night, one of the reasons why Joe was able to stay on the floor is I want to give Jojo credit too, but it's game to game with him, trust me. Uh, but I thought having a veteran crew helps the game. Um, and I thought that I don't remember that crew. And I think that speaks volumes of them that fans left the game remembering the game. Nobody remembered the referees. And that's the way it should be. It's like being a catcher and a no-hitter. When Nolan Ryan threw those 7 no-hitters, nobody remembers who his catcher was. And that's what a referee should be like in a basketball game. When the game's over, nobody should remember those guys. Um, but that benefits guys that are aggressive and play physical. They shouldn't be penalized for that.
Thank you, Joseph. We'll go to Nate Griffin with KRIV TV. Nate, please go ahead.
Morning, Coach. I'm a little late getting up to you, but Happy New Year and congratulations on the Hall of Fame as well.
Thank you.
Pretty simple. Yes, sir. Pretty simple question I have for you. Are you happy with the play of your defense? I know players can't play for you unless they can play defense. And at this time of the year, especially with some of the youth you have on the squad, are you happy with the way the defense is playing right now?
That's a bad question, Hoss. Don't ever ask me if I'm happy. We're getting better, but we got a long way to go. We got, the key to playing good defense for a team is everybody has to be connected. They all have to inhale and exhale at the same time. They all have to move together. They all have to guard the ball together. One can't be guarding his man and then not attached to the roller, whether it's a short roll, medium roll, or long roll. And then when you have a team that has really good schemes for the 3-point shooters, you're going to get a spotlight put on you if you make mistakes. And we made some mistakes the other night. So no, I'm not happy, but we're working at it, and hopefully we continue to get better.